Hello Internet, welcome to Games Done Wrongish.
Hey guys, today in our Game Pass or Play review we're going to be taking a look at Sherlock Holmes the Devil's Daughter. This game is going to be leaving Game Pass at the end of November, something I found out the day after I started playing it. As such, I played it as much as I could this week and I'm happy to say that I got it done in a couple of days, which gives it about a week or two, maybe 2 weeks before the game will leave for you to make your decision whether you want to play it or not. So with that in mind, let's get to it. Sherlock Holmes the Devil's Daughter actually labels itself as a detective crime thriller on the cover, pretty much as a novel or a movie of the same subject matter might. The gameplay itself reminds me very much of older point and click games such as The Secret of Monkey Island, Sam & Max, or maybe even more so Grim Fandango due to the third person movement and 3D-ish environments. I say 3D-ish as the environments, whilst having 3D elements and rooms to enter, they are still pretty static and limited in regards to the areas that you can traverse into, very much like the fixed 2D backgrounds of old. You could still roam around and enter buildings in Monkey Island, despite it being clear that the scene was a static 2D background at all times. You get the same feeling here, however it is moulded and hidden a little better than it was back then. I was surprised to find whilst doing my research on the game that this is actually the 8th game in the series. I am familiar with the previous edition entitled Crimes and Punishments, as I have actually played a little of it in the past, despite never finishing it. I did not know, however, until now that it stretched so far back. I do somewhat recall a Sherlock Holmes Jack the Ripper tie-in from a few years back, but for some reason I thought that was a movie and not a game. If I really jog my memory, somewhere rattling around inside there is also a mention of the Testament of Sherlock Holmes. Alas, we are not here to review the previous games in the series, we are here for the Devil's Daughter, if you will. Anyone familiar with the series will instantly be familiar with the format. For those that aren't, the games are usually set over a number of cases or investigations. You playing as Sherlock Holmes must search for clues and ultimately come up with a solution in which to figure out what is going on in a whodunit sort of way. To help you in your investigations, you are able to call upon Sherlock's power of deduction and reasoning. You are given Sherlock's talent of seeing things that most people overlook as a sort of special ability. This is kind of like the Batman Arkham style bat sense in which you can see through the fog, if you will, and things of interest will pop out in a glowing yellow highlight. Items you have already looked over with your naked eye may have more to offer when using this ability and taking a closer look. You are also granted the imagination ability. Sherlock Holmes is known throughout the Arthur Conan Doyle stories for seeing how things may have gone down and what events occurred to end up at a certain point. In this game, this foresight or imagination as it were can be very helpful and precise, and other times it can send you deep into Sherlock's mind, which can then send you off on some weird Tomb Raider style crypt dwelling puzzle scenarios that can take a long time to complete and are all entirely in Holmes' imagination. In some cases you will be able to offer up a conclusion and put the blame on a suspect very early on. This, however, is usually the wrong conclusion, and despite the game allowing you to finish that case and move on, it may come back to bite you later on if you get it wrong and put an innocent party in danger or in jail. It is often best to exhaust every clue and lead before deciding on your final verdict. What may seem a simple open and shut case at first can soon become a very different thing entirely if you pursue each avenue until its very end. Once you have enough clues, you can piece them together in the deduction space of Sherlock's mind. This is accessed using the Y button. Here you could piece clues together to form deductions and then piece together your deductions to form a verdict or solution. Once you have this, you can then choose in most cases to either have the police apprehend the suspect or allow them to go free as long as that may last. The investigations in the game do seem to have a lot of elements from the investigations found in the Arthur Conan Doyle novels. Usually they have been twisted and changed so much that they are barely recognisable to the original story, but in some cases, at least in this edition in the series, there is one case that is pretty much fact for fact taken from an original Holmes story, and involves a runaway fiancé that pretty much matches the book in its entirety. The game has a main story running parallel with the investigations throughout. It involves a woman that has moved into the apartment directly next to Holmes and has done so with some very mysterious reasons. Playing through the cases and heading back home to Baker Street in between will fill in all of the blanks, and eventually both worlds will collide in the end to see out the story. So there you have it, Sherlock Holmes the Devil's Daughter. It's currently sitting at a 66 on Metacritic with a user score of 7.2. The game has 25 achievements for you to collect for your 1000G, and the average time to beat the game is around 11 hours. As a fan of most things Sherlock Holmes, I really enjoyed this game. I can see why it doesn't get too high a score on Metacritic though. It is a little short for this type of game, and its direction is a little bit all over the place. 1 minute you're in a quiet crown green bowling green, and the next minute you're running through a Mayan temple in Holmes' mind. The minigames and quick time events seem to be repeated a little too much, and for a game that is this short I think they could have used different puzzles and different minigames for each chapter rather than repeating the same ones. All in all though, the subject matter and the character lend themselves well to this type of game. I think the graphics have really improved in this title, and that is something to say, seeing as I just came back from a 2-week stint of Red Dead Redemption 2. There are some techniques used in this that are used in Red Dead Redemption 2, such as the sunlight glowing through the ears so that you can see the reddish tint of blood inside the ears. As I truly did enjoy myself while playing this game, I do feel the game deserves a 7 out of 10 for a Game Pass title. If you are a Game Pass subscriber and a fan of Sherlock Holmes, I recommend jumping on this title while it's still available. Will you try it out before the end of the month? Or will you buy it outright and then play it again later? I know October and November can be very busy for a lot of us with all the new games coming out around this time. Also, you may just not like Sherlock Holmes and have no intentions of playing it at all. I would like to hear your thoughts either way, so let me know in the comments down below and I'll see you next time.
If you like this video, please consider watching another. 2 suggestions will be on screen now. Also, if you have not subscribed already, please do so by clicking the icon in the middle of this screen. Every view and subscription will go a long way to helping the channel grow, and in turn will result in more content for you. Thank you, and until the next time, goodbye.